All right, well, I have started the recording. There we go. Switched into push talk mode. And I guess we're ready to roll with people that we have. Since we're going to need a character for Jake, let's start by getting him up to speed with what's going on. Who would like to do the retelling?
I would.
Are we just talking about what happened last session?
Yeah, last session, and if he needs more information filled in, but he's going to need to create a character from the current location, which could either be one of the spirits or the magically summoned mouse or something.
Oh yeah, the mouse.
There's a mouse.
There's a lot of so there's a lot of stuff happened last session. I have to. I don't know how much background I should give. Let's just go with it. So basically, last session, I'm not sure why we were there. Basically, there are a pair of druids and a priestess of fate. We're kind of wandering through the beast lands looking for stuff. We found we're specifically looking for a guy named Uthalor, which was a druid, I guess, on Prime World that recently had some problems. And so we went looking for this guy, and specifically, we went looking for. We were looking for. Looking for this guy. So we went to. We wandered around for a bit. Eventually, came upon a bunch of monkeys that could talk. I had a lovely conversation with a. Oh no, this is other character. I had a lovely conversation with a praying mantis. No, so this character, we had a lovely conversation with a bunch of monkey people. And one of them agreed to take us to the place in the forest where there was a giant hole and stuff was broken, and no one goes there because it's awful and has a giant missing piece to it or something like that. So we followed along. I believe we took tree trails along the path to eventually find a chair, which was too small mathematically, according to a Modron, which is I'm just gonna burn through this, and then we can fill it in later, which is effectively a robotic box. We harassed the Modron in what can only be described as harassing a Modron for some time before one of our druids, played by Troy, decided to just take its battery out, as far as I can tell. Steal the battery and then use that to get to Mechanus, which is a bunch of gears floating on gears. There we found the place where the dead are judged in the Great Celestial Bureaucracy, and we went up the stairs. I took a different path than other people. They had the easy path. I had the hard path, and but at the top, we both got to the top of the path. Then the judges tried to troll us and nearly had Tice commit suicide. After that, we ended up in the gardens of the bureaucracy, and we began having a conversation with Uthalor, who is dead and doesn't seem to remember much about what happened before he was dead. And I'm mostly along for the ride, but the other two of the party have something interesting they want to acquire from this guy. And I believe we stopped where we were basically having conversations with Uthalor, if I recall correctly.
Yes, that is correct. Uthalor is apparently suffering from some kind of madness, but he has what is best described as a shock collar on, that when he starts to go crazy, zaps him back into calm state.
He's like Broly. Super Saiyan Broly.
Pretty much, yeah.
Also, somewhere along the trip of judgments, because the party was splitting, one of the party members summoned a magical mouse to be a messenger between the two groups, which never ended up being needed, but the mouse is still there. It hasn't gone away.
And I've been teaching the mouse how to be a mouse, because it's only existed for a few minutes, maybe an hour at this point, and it is woefully inadequately educated about the world.
So your options for characters are you can either play as the mouse, that's totally viable, or you can create a character who has recently died and come to the Celestial Bureaucracy for judgment. They would have completed their judgment and been judged fit to work in the Emperor's palace. This is, for reference... Oh, I've got my wrong notes page up. Here we go. This is Yu Huang Shang Ti, the Jade Emperor of the Celestial Bureaucracy in the Jade Palace. So, probably a fairly good person, or at least a very lawful person, would have been judged that way. But yeah.
Oh, okay, that fits with my empathy levels. Oh, I'd be down to play the resurrected dead guy.
Okay. So you come from a normal fantasy setting, so you're probably not super familiar with what's going on, except that you've been told that you've been judged fit to serve in the gardens of the Jade Palace, and you're here. The other gardener who's here is a very powerful druid that just makes the flowers in the garden grow by sheer force of will, but he gets really upset that other people don't take care of the flowers. So there's a shot collar on him that calms him down whenever he starts getting crazy. And a party has walked up to him, and they're questioning him in your garden. And this is where we will begin the scene.
Oh, so am I reacting to that right now, or?
You can if you want, yeah. Or you can just listen. That's up to you.
I'm just gonna listen for now.
From your...
I'm sitting in the grass talking to the mouse, so I have no interest in this guy.
Okay. Tyson Troy, you found Uthalor. He appears to have no memory of the explosion or his own death, and he appears to be a little bit crazy. You're not sure what the consequence would be of taking the pendant off his neck.
So we're I'll request let's see how I want to say this. I'll ask Uthalor, do you know what that necklace is on your neck? Like, do you know what that necklace is?
Calmly, he says, it was a gift from the Emperor. I mustn't take it off.
How is it attached to him?
Piece of string.
Like it's just
Yep.
like a tied string, like a...
Yep. The string appears to be made of some like fairly high quality woven leather, but it is just a piece of string. The theory up here is that no one would dare defy the Emperor by removing this item that he had gifted to the druid.
I whisper over to Tess's character and just say, so like we need to remove it, right?
Well, well, that's a bit of a double-edged sword. It might help him remember, but it will also possibly cause a lot of harm here. I could possibly, if his mind is a bit like a storm, I might be able to calm it down with my magic.
And if things get out of hand, we can always put it back on. Depends on how we take it off.
Tice, you do recall that the last time you used magic on his head, it killed him. Of course, you were trying to at the time, but you stuffed so much raw energy down his throat, he exploded.
Well, yeah, I think that was more of a life energy that I used, but like, I was using an unknown magic that I never really used before on him.
Ed, your character would be aware that whatever this pendant is, you're in the celestial bureaucracy. There will be paperwork that describes it somewhere.
Okay, I tell that to the mouse. They can overhear it. I say they're trying to get the paper, so they're trying to get the pendant off. It's like it's a silly thing to try and get the pendant off, isn't it? Just a silly thing. Like you're a mouse, you would never take the pendant off. You don't even have a hand. It's like, but of course this is the bureaucracy. Of course there are documents that describe what the pendant is, how to take it off, and where it came from. You could even get the pendant to just stop existing if potentially you just updated the documents. But I'm sure they know that because you know that, and they're smarter than mice. And then I go on describing the nutritional qualities of cheese, but how too much is too much.
At some point, you guys will probably notice that you're being overheard by another gardener, a spirit that was tending to things and listening in. That spirit has probably heard you talk about trying to remove the Emperor's pendant from this man's neck.
Yeah, I have a question. Am I like super loyal to
That's up
this
to
emperor?
you, but the Emperor's servants judged you worthy.
Okay.
Remember, also, you're dead. This is your afterlife. So they judged you fit to be in the same heaven as the Jade Emperor himself. It's kind of a nice honor.
I think that it's kind of screwed up what they have done to Uthalor. And I'd be willing to help out in any way if you guys want to release him somehow. I could lie to the Emperor.
Well, now I don't want to do paperwork.
And you're willing to help strangers?
Oh yeah, well I know this Uthalor guy. I've been gardening with him. And I'm not like tied up or anything by some crazy thing. I think it's kind of screwed up that they would do that.
Yeah, the two of you have been gardening together for like an entire 2 days.
Yeah, I'm aware of this Uthalor guy, and I just want to help him out. Why not?
Uthalor came in 2 days ago. He was acting crazy, but they dragged him in front of the Emperor. The Emperor gave him this pendant. He's been pretty calm ever since.
Well, the pendant's helping him be sane, but I feel like the part we need to find out is in part of his insanity. His insanity knows exactly what happened, but he's repressing it. So we might have to possibly get audience with the Emperor to speak to him about if he's the one that gave the pendant. He might be able to find the same kind of magic to be able to calm him down, but at the same time find out more stuff about him.
I might be able to arrange a meeting with his esteemed wonderfulness, the Emperor.
It's true, you might.
I can go request a summons if you're willing to wait.
That would be great. I think we'll try our best to have a little conversation with the sane part of Uthalor.
All right. Though the details of your life have been fuzzy since your death, you do intuitively understand how the bureaucracy works. You know where to get the paperwork to file a request for a summons. And so you proceed to begin filling out the forms and requesting an audience with the Emperor. While he's off doing that, what did you guys want to do? Waiting patiently is an option. It is, after all, a beautiful garden.
I'm gonna look around and see what's in this beautiful garden.
The garden is, in many ways, an alphabetical catalog of plant life. But there is some other sorting based on aesthetics. Flowers have their own section, and that section has been made quite beautiful. Many of the flowers turn in the form of a clock, mimicking the ticking of the gears of Mechanus that you see all around you. But there are parts of it, deeper parts, that are flush with large trees that seem to defy the physics of the space. As the further you go into the garden, the larger the garden really is, well beyond the space of its walls. It's like a TARDIS garden, bigger on the inside, and much, much bigger the deeper you go.
I ask the mouse. I say, "Where do you think they keep the peaches? The peaches of immortality. They grow them." The mouse does not reply.
While the mouse may lack that knowledge, you're not wrong. They're somewhere. Do you want to spend your time searching for the orchards of immortality?
No. I'm a priestess of fate. I realize how futile that entire thing is.
Very good. Tice Troy, did you have any actions you wanted to take in this meantime?
Since I'm not really that much of a talking person, I'm going to be with all this beauty. I'm going to go start like take a little. As I don't know how long it's going to take. I'll take a little time walking through the gardens because I'm looking for possibly 3 specific plants. What were they going? One sec here. I'm looking for I don't know if these plants actually exist, but I'm looking for one that stores basically is a glowing plant that absorbs the sunlight and basically holds onto it. I'm also looking for a plant that is very windy, something that stores the what is it called? The wind, and then possibly a plant that's it's sort of like a fountain sort of effect where it constantly drips down water from its own thing as it collects as it yeah.
Make a resource check.
Since this is in my domain, would I be able to use it to get a threshold decrease?
What were you going to use for a threshold decrease?
Domains, trees, and plants. So I could use some magic to help me find it as well. And unless it's a bit of a stretch, then I'll just roll a resource.
Your magic is ascetic, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Instead of a resource roll, you could tax your stamina and make a potential roll.
How much would I be tax my stamina by?
Let's see. You're looking to find an object within a limited range. You're not looking to do anything to the object, but you need the object to be of a certain value. That sounds like second circle to me. Just sort of ballparking it, not really bothering to do the math, but it feels second circle. So that'd be 2 stamina.
Right.
But you've also got to succeed the roll.
Yes, and I'll spend 1 more stamina to get a bonus dice. Two successes.
That's exactly what you needed. Yeah, you find a plant. It's not endless supply, but it has a significant supply of water that pours down a spout. And you find a plant that has leaves that are shaped kind of like windmill blades. Troy, did you want to take any actions while the spirit is away?
Can I take an action that involves talking to the priestess if the priestess is already?
Yeah, you guys can converse. The priestess appears to just be screwing around with the mouse.
Oh, that's perfect. See,
I'm primarily screwing around with the mouse. Yeah.
I two-parter. So the first part is going to be you mentioned something about the paperwork for the necklace. Would you know how to attain that up here? You seem to have a little more knowledge about this place than I have none.
I look at the mouse and I go, they need our help. They don't know about this place. It's like, let's help them. Should we help them? And then I look at the mouse and then I say, okay, we'll help them. Say, well, this is the celestial bureaucracy. They don't call it a bureaucracy for nothing. It's probably the most complex bureaucracy in the entire multiverse, with the exception of maybe, well, there are a lot of places like this in Mechanus. I guess the Modron bureaucracy is pretty complicated, but it's not a bureaucracy you can really understand, so it doesn't really matter. This is the most complicated bureaucracy that you could possibly comprehend. They have paperwork for everything. Every flower here has paperwork. I'm sure they counted the leaves. I don't know why they put stuff on him. I do know, however, that we're in the Jade Palace. The Jade Palace is the palace where the Jade Emperor lives. Jade Emperor is the head of the Chinese pantheon, the celestial bureaucracy, in any case. He's apparently a nice fellow. He's very orderly. His name is Shang Ti, and he's I guess we can just call him the Jade Emperor. It's best not to cross him or do anything that he wouldn't like while you're in his house. This goes for most deities, to be honest. That said, this is a very lawful area, so rules are rules. So if the paperwork is changed or stamped appropriately or whatever it is they do here, then everyone will follow the rules. If you're trying to do something funny, that's probably the best way to do things. Everyone will follow the rules. You can count on it. I don't know where they keep that stuff, but I would imagine they have some sort of a record room or library or wherever bureaucracies keep a bunch of papers about them. It's also Mechanist, so I'm sure they're also extraordinarily proud of it. Bureaucracies tend to be proud of how good their records are. So I'm sure it's not like a secret vault somewhere that you're going to have to break into. I'm sure you could probably just ask someone where they keep all of their extensive, awesome records, and I'm sure they would be happy to show you.
I've returned. And I do have said paperwork that you guys need to fill out. You're going to need the special ink, though. Are you guys aware?
So the paperwork that you found, it's just a request form. The trick is going to be getting the request approved. You can go about this a few different ways. I mean, you have a supervisor who has a supervisor who has a supervisor. But that route can be perilous as it's turtles all the way down. You have no idea whose supervisors are all going to say yes. You can try and go around supervisors using very specific allowed technicalities for immediacy of action requirements. Navigating this, of course, is going to be a test of your scholarship. So let's find your character sheet here.
Oh boy. Scholarship. I got a 2.
It's all right.
That's actually quite good. So we're going to combine your scholarship and your cunning to see if you can find a cunning solution to get your paperwork through a smaller number of channels, thus reducing the chance that your application is denied. So in total, you're going to be rolling 4 dice. We have a wonderful little bot that rolls dice for us. Ed programmed it, and it's quite helpful. The
I have
syntax.
some dice, but yeah, I'm down to just use that.
So the syntax for this bot, well, first of all, it is important where you roll. So you want to be rolling the dice in... Okay, there we go. Sorry, I was having trouble getting it to come up. You want to be rolling the dice in the session channel, in the Talus, or the pen and paper section of our Discord.
Do you have access to that?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I do not see him on the list, so I'm guessing no. So we will need to give you access.
Yep, I do not see it.
Really?
Where would it... It's one of the channels, right? I don't have a channel that says pen and paper.
Okay, that's no problem. What are we looking at?
Hey, there he is.
Oh, it's under session?
Yes. So in session, the syntax for rolling dice is \R, and then a space, and then the letter D, and the number of dice you're going to be rolling, in this case 4. And in some cases, you can add additional modifiers after that. But in this case, we're just going to start with something simple. 3 successes. That's actually very good. So you have found a time slot between some really important meetings that the Emperor is having, in which you can get in under the premise that there is a garden emergency that requires his attendance. He is a really nice guy, and one of his nice things is he likes to make sure that the garden is open and available to everyone, so they can all see all the beautiful flowers all in a row. And while many of the other happenings at the moment are far more important and way above your pay grade, he does have this one tiny little time slot that you've located and gotten your paperwork in through. So when you return to the party, you announce that Within a few hours, you guys will have a space of a scant few minutes with which to ask the Emperor questions before he has to deal with more important matters.
All right, guys, get ready. You only got 3 minutes with the man. You gotta know what you're gonna say.
You do have a few hours to prepare, but then you're only going to get a few minutes. Enough time to ask. We'll say 2 questions each.
I look at the mouse and say, "You better prepare your question. You don't have much time."
The mouse says, "Squeak." Having been summoned on a plane of law, this mouse is destined to always be a very organized mouse.
Who summoned him again?
Troy.
He's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's so much greater than he could ever have been.
But magic
He is-
often doesn't behave the way you expect, depending on the plane that you cast it on. Effectively, what happened is you wrote into the laws of this plane that there is a mouse, and now there is a mouse. On the prime material world, you're basically putting a dent in reality, and eventually time passes and the dent gets smoothed out and the mouse goes away. But out here, it's not a dent. It's words written, and the words written become law, and the law says there is a mouse. All right.
Okay, so we need questions.
2 questions each, right?
Correct.
Well, I assume we need to ask if we can speak with Uthalor without the necklace. But there may be a different question to ask along that. Like, can we keep him sane and return his memory?
Maybe how does the necklace thing function?
I feel we have a basic idea of how it works right now.
Well, you have an idea of what it does, but how it does what it does?
Is there a way to speak to Uther? Uther's like the. Is there a way to access the memories of Uther before the moments he died?
That would be a good one.
Or be how do we access the memories of how before Uther died? Because he could always just say yes for the. If we just say, is there a way? So just saying how would be cutting 2 questions in half.
True. If he says there's no way, though.
Then we know there is. Then we've already answered the other question already.
Well, it might be something like there's no way with the necklace on. And he may refuse to take the necklace off.
Is he a petitioner here at this point?
Uthalor, yes.
It's unlikely his memories are still with him.
So we ask where his memories are.
That's a reasonable ask. It's a difficult question. There are many philosophers in Sigil that I'm sure would happily discuss this with you for centuries. Where the memories of the petitioners go. I mean, memories can't be deleted, obviously. That would be ridiculous. Some people think maybe they just float in the astral somewhere. Or they could be elsewhere. There are things that collect memories in the astral. They're generally the kinds of things you don't want to really encounter. Certainly not look for, but
You spoke of a place called Sigil. Is it as crazy as the place called the Beastlands?
in some ways, crazier.
In most ways, really.
But from Sigil, you can get to wherever you want. It's a good place. I've been there a few times. It's kind of at the middle of everything.
When you guys have done everything you intend to do in the 3 hours you have preparing, you can just tell me that you're going to just wait out the rest of the time. Unless there's anything you
Okay.
want to do. You are in the Jade
Uh,
Palace of the Celestial Bureaucracy.
I'm going to take just like 5 to 10 seconds of your 3 minutes with the Emperor to ask him if I'm ever allowed to leave for any reason.
Also, before we, there's one more thing I'm currently looking for. Since you're a gardener here, you might be able to help me find it. I am trying to look for a plant that that stores that stores the sun inside of it. Potentially gives off some of its light.
I mean, storing the sun's light inside of it is basically what plants do.
Oh, but does it give off light as well?
Now there's the catch. A bioluminescent plant.
I've seen a couple of those. Is it more blue or yellowish light?
I try to give off the same light that the sun gives off. So I guess more yellowish.
Oh, you're talking about the yellow spark rose. I've seen them. They bloom not too far from here.
Okay, so
Hey,
you guys
It
can
might take us a half hour to get there, so an hour round trip.
spend some time wandering the garden, fetching the yellow spark rose. Of course, this being a sort of Chinese themed locale, they refer to it as the golden spark rose.
There you
Yes,
go. That's better.
And is it okay if I take one of the plants? And if it's for someone special, I need to have these 3 plants.
I'm sure as long as you don't take too many. There's thousands of them. This garden is huge after all.
It's not
Yes.
that there are thousands of them, there are exactly 1,000 of them. Exactly.
Yeah, what did you call it? It was the golden.
Spark rose. I can't offer you more than 2.
I only need the 1.
Oh, there you go.
And then we have 2 hours left, right?
Yep.
Not. How far back is it to go to to go to the judges? How was it down the stairs at the judges? No, it was. Oh yeah, they were at the top of the stairs. The judges were the three people, the man, what's it, the blue, the gray, and the.
Well, they were in like a pagoda that's like down from the palace.
Yeah, the palace was up above them. It would take you the remaining 2 hours to go down and meet them and come back.
Okay, and I'll do that.
Okay. Presenting the offerings before them, each one in turn smiles and thanks you.
Yes, I give them my bow, and I did say I'd come back and bring you what you wanted. You have a good day.
You guys are worried that he might not make it back in time, but he just barely damages it. While he was gone, did you accomplish anything?
I have a conversation with the priestess because I have yet to ask, but I don't understand what's happening with the mouse, and I'm inquiring about it, saying it's usually gone by now.
I look at you and I say, I mean, it is a very clever mouse. They're very, very good at hiding mice. You know, maybe it's just hiding.
You're saying all the ones I've created before are hiding?
Maybe you've only ever created one before. In any case, if you're going to go about creating, like, just drawing living creatures out of the void and just creating living creatures, especially out here, you need to be a little bit calm. You created this mouse. Was it created here or in the Beastlands?
Here.
It was created here on the mountain.
Yeah, it's like you created this here in the Jade Palace in the center of Mechanus. This is a very, very special. Had you created the mouse just a few moments earlier in the Beastlands, it would be a very different.
I see. So it has to do with where we are. That explains a little more. I don't necessarily think I was making living things before.
Well, I mean, you can summon animals or something like that. People do that. I've encountered people that summon animals or summon elementals or these sorts of things. None of that really works exactly right out because, well, there are no animals and there are no elementals. There are no elements. The dirt below your feet is only the idea of dirt, but it's not just the idea of dirt. It's the idea of extraordinarily ordered dirt. I pick up a handful of dirt, which, if you look very carefully, is just a bunch of little tiny cubes, and drop the dust, which falls into like a perfect helix pattern. It's the idea of dirt, but it's a very particular idea of dirt.
The helix pattern also notably has perfectly separated all of the normal dirt cubes from the fertilized dirt cubes. They are also in exact proportions. Perfectly matched, perfectly balanced.
I will be thoroughly confused, but nodding along and trying to understand. I am learning a little bit. For my own reference, out of character, is this mouse? Does it look like a regular mouse now, or does it look like it was like summoned ethereally?
It has taken on a form of a regular mouse, but it still has the ethereal glow in its eyes.
Okay.
It also has somehow acquired a satchel that it has slung over its back, and it has apparently a notebook in the satchel that it's occasionally taking notes in.
I'll blame that on its keeper at the moment. I will thank the priestess for the explanations, despite my somewhat still learning.
If you're interested in summoning real mice, then you need to go to a place where real mice exist. That's not here. But if you're interested in summoning the idea of mice, there's plenty of ideas of mice. There's an infinite number of ideas of mice. This is one of them.
In fact, it was not just the idea of a mouse, but it was the idea of a mouse messenger, which is why it has a satchel and a notebook. Alrighty. So I guess Tice returns. You guys have not yet visited the archives at all, so you're just going straight to the Emperor. Alright, I hope everybody's got their questions ready. You're walking down the halls of the palace. Of course, these halls are massive. These halls are sized to fit dragons. And some of them may be sized to fit things that are bigger than dragons. Everything is, of course, perfectly ordered. All the statues are identical. The carpet is immaculate. A cleaning team is noticeably following behind you, sweeping your footprints off the ground. They seem to leave no footprints themselves. You did just come from the garden. It's a bit dirty. But the order of the palace is immaculate. The order of the visitors to the palace is not. And there are a lot of things visiting this palace right now. Creatures of every description. You see a group of Naga slithering down the hall, carrying textbooks and discussing philosophy. You see a beholder kind of sitting in a corner, muttering to itself and counting something on an abacus. Turning a corner, you approach the Emperor's room, and coming out of the throne room are two figures. One of them is it looks like a man with the head of a dog and the wings of an angel. It is tall, like 8 feet tall, regal in bearing, and glowing with holy radiance. Next to it is a smaller, maybe 5.5 foot tall man whose head is in the shape of a fox. That man's robes are gray and drab, but still well put together. They may be drab of color, but not of content, for they are intricate, and their many grays are interwoven in fancy patterns. The two of them walk past you as though the party is utterly meaningless to them, and they begin proceeding down. You do overhear them discussing something about this war is going to be problematic. You're not sure which of the two creatures said it as you walk past.
I take note of this and shudder a little bit.
And then you find yourself in an enormous, magnificent room. Green tapestries and red carpeting and yellow inlay on the pillars. Everything is beautiful and colorful and bright. Sunlight streaming in from holes in the ceiling, but colored by tinted glass, creates a just beautiful scene of radiance. For those of you, well, for the one of you who's native, you also see that there are wondrous patterns being cast by the light, showing pictures of stories on the marbled floor.
Isn't it beautiful, guys?
Many places have beautiful palaces. Mechanus has great palaces. I do like their palaces. Their domains are very less of the entrails and bones and rib cages and things than some other palaces I've been to.
Oh my, this was my first palace that I had ever seen.
Arrayed around the room and in small circles around each pillar of this vast area are statues carved entirely in jade, until you notice walking past them that their eyes are moving to follow you. The Emperor himself is, despite the grand size of the palace and the enormous size of the throne, is actually just human-sized. It almost seems kind of underwhelming. His bearing is magnificent, but he also is a little bit distracted with some papers. He does look up upon your arrival, however, and immediately says, "Ah, yes, the 5:15 appointment." Says, "You have 8 minutes. Please proceed." The look of concern on his face when he's glancing at the papers to his right is just vanishes in an instant as he looks up at you, and he is bright and cheerful smile beneath what really is a ridiculously oversized hat. The hat's got like gold tassels on it and all kinds of stuff.
Yes. A couple days ago, a druid named Uthalor had come here after passing on from very unfortunate events. We were wondering, he currently is not responding well. We were wondering if you knew a way of being able to find out his memories, for he is a very key, important piece to a mystery that we are trying to solve.
Ah, yes, the gardener. Very unfortunate what has happened to him. There are potions that can restore the memories of deceased petitioners. I have not had time nor inclination to pursue that route at the moment, as there is a much more disturbing issue brewing, but it is brewing in the vicinity of where he came from. If you were to retrieve such a potion, it would be in the service of the Emperor.
Does he fully belong here? I ask, is my question. He seems like he belongs here with the amulet in place. But he seems like there's something beneath that, which does not really fit with this place.
He truly belongs neither here nor anywhere else, and that is a fundamental problem and one of the solutions the amulet solves. He simultaneously belongs in the Beastlands and in Pandemonium, and the difficulty here is that his god is not present to judge him. He was redirected to the celestial bureaucracy due to that error in reality, and we have corrected the error. Six questions left.
My companion wishes to ask if you have any cheese. He's never had cheese before, you see. He's only existed for about an hour, and he would be very interested in sampling some celestial.
It's come to your attention that the Jade Guards, who are carrying a table with numerous cheeses on it, must have started their trip across the room a full 5 minutes before you even asked the question, and yet they have arrived with the plate of cheese.
Okay, I just look down and say, "Remember, in moderation." And then I whisper, "You can put some in your sack. Put some in your satchel for later." And sit the mouse down on the table.
Well, if he's currently being stuck here because of a missing god, do you have any inclinations of where his god might be?
Yes. The god Tavarosia's corpse is currently on a prime world that is the subject of a war between the Tenari and the Beatazu. The Blood War has long been a thing that happens, but in this particular case, they seem to be fighting over the corpse of this god.
Mentioned a potion, right? Would you know where to find it? Could you tell us where to find this?
The potion cannot be found, but it can be made. You will need to find one who can make potions. Three questions left.
Who here at the Celestial Palace can make this potion?
Unfortunately, most of the people who can make it would not. Some of its ingredients violate laws, and none of them would be willing to do so. However, as I have said, if you do acquire the potion somehow, then you will have the favor of the Emperor for the day. Two questions left. And only one person who hasn't asked a question yet.
Yeah, I was kind of waiting for the last one because I'm not actually with their party. But I was wondering if I could leave, yeah, Sir Emperor, if I could leave and help them on their quest. I feel like it would be better than just gardening to serve you.
The Emperor says, of course you are permitted to leave. Your being here was a reward for your good work and good service in life. But if you wish, you are welcome to leave. Be aware of the consequence. If you are to die in this place, you will be resurrected again endlessly. But if you die outside of this place, your spirit will be lost to us forever. We will not be able to retrieve you.
Thank you for your graciousness, and that is good information to have. But I think I will accompany them.
One question left.
Where would we where would we find the recipe for this potion?
There are numerous alchemists who will know the recipe in more chaotic planes. The recipe simply will not be adhered to here in Mechanus, but you could go to any alchemist of note. There is a particular one that was in Sigil at some point, but as a Chaositech, he may not be there now. It's not clear where he would ever be.
I see. I thank you for for having the time to see us.
Thank you for helping with our issue with Uthalor. For now, it is best that Uthalor remain in the garden, but when you have the potion to restore his memory, please return to us, and we will be grateful. As you are stepping out, the door looks much larger than it did when you came in. When you came in, it was sized for you. It is now sized much, much larger. And the door nearly bursts open and behind it is a towering monster. Red skin, great bat wings behind it. It is a Beatazu. It is a pit fiend. It's a great and fiery beast, and it is wearing formal robes. It looks almost like it's trying to be a courtier in a Chinese emperor's court. As the door swings closed behind you as you step past it, you hear the emperor saying, "No, no, I already told you no." And then the doors close.
Well, now we have some sort of way to go. We have to find an alchemist that is part of something called the Chaos Tech. I think that's what he said it was.
I have a final question, which you have no obligation to answer. Do you entertain Yugoloth here often, or is it a special situation?
You want to rewind and ask that while you guys are still in the room?
I'm just going to ask whoever I can find. Yeah, I could rewind and ask it while we're in the room, or I could ask it of like a guardsman or whoever's
Okay.
in the hall.
You could ask me and like pretend that I know, but Dave's gonna answer.
Gotcha.
There is almost always a Yugoloth in residence as a sort of a diplomat.
Of course, there's always a Yugoloth diplomat in residence. That's what they do.
As to how often they are entertained with direct audiences with the Emperor, it's not often. They're usually there in case they're needed, not there to because they're wanted.
I'm interested in looking for this. I guess it's a Hound Archon and the Yugoloth.
They're actually still out there in the antechamber. They found a little corner where they're sitting down, having a sort of hushed conversation.
I'm gonna take my mouse, and go and sit down next to them and introduce the mouse.
Bless you, Troy.
Both of them recognize your symbols and nod to you. Priestess. Mouse.
A strange pairing, having interesting discussions. Just wanted to come and say hello. It's not often I find such a strange pairing, and I look around and say, "In such a strange place." Just interested in the turning of the gears.
The Hound Archon is a little flustered by your insinuation of him associating with the Yugoloth. The Yugoloth is not, and sees no reason to respond to the boat or to the goad. But the Hound Archon does say, "Well, these are strange times."
Agreed, and I meant no offense. Conversation is often, well, it's diplomacy, isn't
It is.
it? Though you may have your differences, your two species, I suppose, have a strong interest in diplomacy over just bloodshed. Unlike another two species that I know of off the top of my head.
The the Arcanoloth kind of smirks at this. The Hound Archon gives a little gruff bark and then says, "Their balance was an important part of the bloodshed, and that balance may be about to break. Of course, I'm sure your mistress has foreseen it all, but her interest in balance is often respected."
I wave my hands and I say, "My mistress doesn't share such things with me. I am but a lowly priestess. Such things needn't concern me unless they do, in which case I'll be told when I'm told. What does concern me, though, is I'm traveling with a pair of primes. They seem to have a bit of a blood war problem, and it just seems to be an interesting coincidence that, well, we all seem to be having blood war problems just about now.
The ears on the hound perk up. The Arcanoloth hardly shows any change in demeanor, but there is the tiniest twitch of a whisker on his nose. Your experience with him is that such a twitch is probably calculated. He's probably just sending you a message that says he's interested. The Hound Archon does not appear to have any restraint. It immediately sort of says, "Primes? From the world where the war has raged?"
Perhaps. I know very little about these sorts of things, but you can speak to them over there. I say, I'll introduce you, and I take them over. I kind of walk over a bit faster than they walk over and get to the primes, and I say, I've encountered some friends that may have interest in your plight. I say, there's a dog and a fox. Speak with the dog, speak with the fox. Make no deals with the fox. The dog is generally safe. And then I look at the mouse and say, don't deal with foxes. Foxes are just not good things to be dealing with. Never make a promise to a fox, and never expect the fox to keep its promise. And the mouse squeaks, and I say, indeed, it is good that you are not a chicken.
The disparity between the two is quite striking. The Hound Archon is glowing with a golden light. It's tall, it's magnificent, it's clad in shining armor. The fox is shorter by a lot, not quite by half, but nearly. Is clad in soft and silken robes with no color to them whatsoever, no armor at all. They could not be more different in appearance. And yet here they stand together, both interested in your world. The fox remains silent while the hound barks. You come from the prime world that is under siege by both Tanari and Beatazu, demons of red and black. Is this true?
Do we know? I don't know how to give that answer.
Yeah, are you asking the primes?
He's asking us, but
So at the time that you guys left, you knew that there was some kind of demonic presence north of the mountains, and that an empire was supposedly protecting you guys from it. Uthalor believed that the Empire was in league with demons, and you guys managed to stop him from enacting his plan to destroy the Empire's ambassadors. But that's all that you know, because you guys weren't around later for the explosion and the and the rest of that big reveal.
Got it. So I could say we were aware of some demons, but can you provide more information so we can figure out if this is where
Testing.
we can hear you?
Okay, I was just checking because I thought there was something wrong with my mic. But we hit with the Emperor. We just talked to the Emperor, and we had mentioned our prime world, and he did mention the whole thing about the two demons fighting over the body of a dead god and stuff. So we know that.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we do have enough knowledge to say yes, we are from this place.
All right. So the fox still remains quiet for a bit, sort of eyeing the priestess. Whereas the hound says, it is important that neither demon win. The demon armies are fighting there for something. There's something they've found. It's important that neither of them gets it. If one of them gets it, they'll win. And we can't have a winner in this war. Wars must only have losers.
Wouldn't a loser imply that there's a winner?
The Arcanoloth, the fox, speaks up and says, if no one wins, then balance is maintained. You guys like balance, right? I love balance. Balance is the best. I'll tell you what. Oh, no, wait. No. Your lady friend told you not to make deals with me. Hey, big guy. Maybe we should offer them. I'm sorry. Maybe you should offer them something in exchange for information? Services rendered, perhaps?
May I ask, who are you two anyway?
The dog introduces himself. I'll make up a name for him later. He's a Hound Archon of the High Order of Mount Celestius, here representing the interests of the good and law of all lands. He sounds very much like a sort of stereotypical paladin when he talks. The fox says, I am merely an ambassador of the Grey Court. Our mandate is to maintain balance. The status quo. Nothing more, nothing less. Too dark? There's problems. Too bright? There's problems. We're in the middle, in the gray. The gray mandate. The Hound considers the proposal for a moment and says, yes, if you can bring us information about your world, I can reward you. What can you tell us of the war? What are they fighting over?
I like to look to my group. We have potential of exactly what we know exactly what they're fighting over, but was it I'm not sure if it's just for me to speak of exactly what without making some kind of a deal, as you know. I'm not the best with talking to people.
What he said? We wanted information from us in exchange for what? He said just reward. That's all he said.
Yes.
I'm not sure we have information, but what kind of reward did you have in mind?
Dog kind of looks around. What do mortals like? He looks down at the fox and then looks up again and says, not fox things. Mortals like gold? That would make you greedy. No. You must be good mortals. The light of justice.
That sounds pretty fantastic.
He reaches out and literally grabs a sunbeam and shapes it into a staff. says, "This I offer you, Staff of Justice." The fox turns and says, "You don't give it to them before they do it. You give it to them after. How many times do I have to tell you this?" He says, "Oh, right." And he puts the sunbeam back in the air where he grabbed it and says, "I will give you a Staff of Justice made from sunlight if you will bring me information. Tell me what it is they are fighting over." The fox looks really embarrassed.
Did I lose my memory when I died and became a
Yes.
spirit? But I have these vague, like, flashes of battle that I feel like was my lifetime, but I don't really fully understand the context of them.
Yeah, you have a good idea what profession you were, but that's about it. Yeah, just vague flashes of whatever it is you used to do when you were alive.
Yep, then I can't help you. I don't really remember.
What would that staff be capable of? It was quite magical what you did there, but I'm not sure I understand what it would be. What its purpose was.
Its purpose was justice. To be righteous. To smite those who would harm the good. Best you can tell, it's just like a crazy magical weapon that this guy can just kind of make whenever he wants. And probably very much like your mouse, if he makes it here, it's made for good.
I turn to the priestess and I say, or ask her really quick. Do you know how? Do you have an understanding enough to travel the? However, we did move from place to place, like traveling these. People are calling them planes, to get where we don't know necessarily where we need to go. Just are you capable of traveling from one place to another, seeing as we are in hunt of someone else?
For reference, Ed, when you went through the Modron gates, you were making your decisions randomly.
Yeah. We're in the Jade Emperor's palace. There's portals to everywhere here. We're in Mechanus. Mechanus touches everywhere. If we need a specific portal to a specific place, the appropriate place to look is Sigil. I guess we can go to Sigil if that's where we're going. Sigil's it's a bit of a mess, really. I like trying to avoid Sigil if I can. It's where all the people go. It's just really crowded, dirty, crowded. You know, it's a city.
Yeah, that's where I showed up when I became a spirit, and I just had to get away to some place more tranquil.
Actually, you just showed up at the bottom of the mountain and climbed up. That's kind of what
Okay.
your existence has been.
There you go.
Yeah, you've never been off of this mountain since you died, but you've been warned by the Emperor that if you do, be careful, because if you die off of this mountain, you're gone for good. As long as you die on this mountain, your spirit will keep coming back to the base of the mountain.
Good to know.
You'll lose all your memories again, but at least you'll still be up. But yeah, if you die off outside of the mountain, technically if you die outside of Mechanus, as long as you're in Mechanus, it's fine.
So yeah, I look over to Echelon's character and like, do you think this is a fair deal? Telling them what the demon things are fighting over for something of a spear of justice, I think he called it.
I shrug and I say, the information has no value to you. You can give it away freely without losing it, so there's no problem there. If they want to give you a staff for that, then that's, or a reward for that, then that has value to you. It seems like a reasonable thing to me. I wouldn't sign up for any favors, and I kind of look over look over at the Yugoloth. It's best that all debts are paid. I look at the Yugoloth and say, I think we agree on that. All debts should always be paid.
Oh yes, it says. All debts are always paid.
I mentioned to Tara, I was like, I cannot imagine I would have a use for this. If you feel you would, I think we could freely do this exchange. Otherwise, if there's something you would ask for instead, I don't know.
The staff I find is interesting and potentially something that you might want, but I would be interested in, well, here's the thing, and I mean no offense in this. You live on a prime world. There are an infinite number of prime worlds. Most of them are just terrible. And no one really cares about prime worlds, really. I mean, how many people are on a prime world? What is it's like a ball in space or something, a rock floating in the phlogiston of the ether. It's never. It's crazy. No one really understands them. You fall off the bottom or something. I don't know. It's all very confusing, and they really don't have a lot of value. Really, I mean, there are people there, and I guess people are kind of important. But all prime worlds are just destined to just not exist at some point in the future. They're not permanent. They're not even infinite. And so why would you even care about them? So all that being said, and again, I mean no offense, it seems like these two beings, both of which are exemplars, I mean, you know, demons, I guess you would say, in their own domains. These are immortal beings of belief and philosophy. They're taking an interest in your tiny little rock of no consequence. This I find fascinating. I would be interested to trade for information, just to talk about why you are interested in such a place. Speaking to the Archon and the
The Archon kind of nods its head, says, would be fair. Information for information.
and then if there's also a staff of sunlight, that's also acceptable as part of the trade.
Says, no, this is more fair. Information for information. I like this. The fox person puts a paw on the dog person's waist, because that's as high up as he can reach, and says, make sure they tell you the information first. Let's not be wasting time. They both look to your party.
Well, if there is no disagreements here, then as part of nature, we can make an accord in these halls of exchanging information.
That's fine by me. Is there any way that we can like find my memories? And also Uthalan, is that his name?
I mean,
might-
the Emperor kind of gave you some information to go on for finding an alchemist that might be able to restore memories. So that's a possibility.
I look
Oh,
at you and I
yes.
say, I don't really know how to tell you this, but you're dead. That's why you're here. And the easiest way to get you back is to just find your body and resurrect you.
Oh, no kidding. Well, maybe I can take that potion that restores memories once we find it.
Yes,
And
and maybe we could find your body.
Exactly.
The thing is, how long have you been here? In the
I have
garden?
no idea. Apparently, if I died in the garden, I just came back at the bottom of the steps again.
Correct.
So I
And-
could have died. I could have died multiple lifetimes here.
Correct. You could have also been in the garden for a couple of days and died thousands of years ago. The bureaucracy
Good point.
is efficient, but there are a lot of dead people.
Maybe they're so efficient that like days here are thousands of years in the real world. I have no idea.
So there's no guarantee your body still exists in a form that. Well, in any case, it's a worthwhile quest.
I that's all I've got going for me at this point. I don't want to be in a garden the rest of my existence.
It is a very nice garden, and it was made for you.
Although it is nice, yes. I prefer the adventures.
I say something to the what are we? It's like a
There's a
dog
hound archon, which is basically an angel dog man. They're these huge towering dog angels. And then there's a Arcanoloth, which is a fox man.
One sec.
You literally have the fox and the hound here.
So, oh, we're waiting for Troy.
He had
Sorry.
something he wanted to say. Yeah.
I was gonna say it to the dog archon. In interest of understanding the deals we're making, it would seem we would like information for the information we're giving, but our information would appear to be more value. So in the interest of fair trade, I was just wondering, considering you had offered that staff before, it seemed that because our information is of more value, it would actually apply to be fair to receive both things.
That seems fair to me. You need our information, or at least desire it. We are interested in your information. I am interested in your information as a curiosity.
The hound archon gives a brief howl and says, "Do you not find the wisdom of the heavens to be of value?"
I say immediately. I say no.
He
Wisdom
whimpers a little bit.
is wisdom.
I don't know. The heavens seem like a bit of a silly place.
Hey, wisdom is wisdom, no matter where it comes from.
Let us not go there. 'Tis a silly place.
He whimpers a little. His pride hurt, but he recognizes that pride is not a virtue, and so he swallows his pride and says, "Very well. The staff of light and what little information I have in exchange for the wealth of information you have. Tell us, what is it the demons are fighting over?"
They are fighting over a dead god, a god of travel. I can't remember his name. I'll insert what his name is.
Yeah, you just said it. I forgot it. With Targoth?
Tavaroja.
Tavaroja.
I say it's a common thing that people forget his name. Such things happen when gods die.
Well, I mean to more say, that's what they call him. They call him a god. He is just a powerful being. But yes, apparently they want the body of a powerful being. So that's been referred to as the god of travel.
The fox and the hound look at each other. They both say at the same time, "God of travel." And then the hound says, "You go, quickly. I'll finish up here." The fox basically rushes over to a gap between two pillars, touches one of the pillars, and between the gap you see what looks like a forest, but from very high up. And he steps through, and then the portal disappears. The hound remains, and true to his word, he takes a beam of sunlight, fashions it into a staff, hands it to you, and then says, "To keep my end of the bargain. The reason we are concerned is because something killed a god, and we don't want that something to fall into the hands of either the Tanari or the Beatazu."
Yeah. I just like chuckle at it. There's something to kill a god. I thought they were supposed to be immortal beings of immense power.
Yes, exactly. Supposed to be immortal, supposed to have immense power. And they found the thing that breaks them. And that thing, in the hands of either one of those, would tip the balance. And there would be a winner to the Blood War. We can't allow this.
Gods die all the time. I counter.
But not
There's
often by a weapon.
There's hearsay of a word that can kill a god.
Hearsay.
Fair.
Yeah, I'll pick up the staff of light.
It's one thing to hear whispers in the dark, the hound says. It's quite another to see a corpse beneath your boots. Knowing now that that was a god of travel gives us a lead. We've been trying to figure out the trajectory of the weapon. This has been a great difficulty, but if it's a god of travel, this may help us deduce things a little bit better. Thank you, my friends. And if you learn more, I will be around. He walks over to the same portal that the fox person disappeared it through, opens it, although it opens to a different place. Also a place full of green and trees, but this one not up in the air. This one in the thick of it. And he steps through and the portal closes. One of you now has a staff of the Light of Justice. Although solid to the touch, and it feels quite sturdy and heavy, also feels a bit warm, like heated metal. But it looks like a piece of glass with just a glow sort of trapped inside it.
Oh, this is a nifty thing.
That looks pretty fancy.
It's about quarterstaff sized. Yeah, it's pretty fancy.
Huh. If you want, we could every once in a while we can just hand it over to someone to just just for either a walking stick or just to test it out. Do you mind if I try it out first?
Well, honestly, I'm not one for weapons or objects. I use my hands, so by all means.
Yeah, I'm a spirit, so I don't get tired, so I don't need a walking stick.
And what about you? Priestess?
I walk like anyone. Where is it that we're headed?
I suppose now we're headed to wherever an alchemist would.
I think they said there was the alchemist is from a place called Sigil. He was part of Chaos, something.
We can go to Sigil. There are portals everywhere. I'm sure we could just ask someone in the bureaucracy how to get us there. If you want them to help you, simply ask, maybe fill out some paperwork. If you want them to give you a portal to Sigil quickly, I step over to the desk of one of the clerks and say, kind of clumsily trip over the desk and shuffle his pencils and papers around the table out of alignment and say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm really looking to go to Sigil. I'm looking for a portal to Sigil." And I put my hand on his papers and slide them around a little bit and knock one of his pencils off onto the floor. So I'm wondering if you could help me. I really want to kind of get out of here. I feel like I need to. I feel like I need to be someplace else.
The person is just totally horrified that you've disordered his papers and pencils. Exasperated. Yes, we need to get you out, but the portal to Sigil has been closed by order of the Emperor. There's another portal, though. I'm sure it'll do. He grabs.
I say thank you. I knock like a cup of water over on his paper. Say, "Oh, I'm so sorry.
That was unnecessary. Surely they would have shown favor to someone who works directly for the Emperor.
By the gears, just here, take the token and go. Those pillars right there. He hands you a token. The token has a large tree carved upon it.
That looks like fun.
It looks very suspiciously like it's a token specifically meant to open a gate to Yggdrasil.
Shall we head?
Maybe that's where the Archons went.
Was it the same pillar or is it a different pillar?
A different pillar. Not that any of you would know, because none of you have been there yet, but Ed the Priestess would know that the Archon definitely did not go to Yggdrasil.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll head that way.
It looked to you like the Arcanoloth probably went to Bitupia, given the height that you saw the forest from and the weird angle. And it looks like the Archon either went to the Beastlands or to somewhere in Newsgard that's heavily forested, like maybe Alfheim. Opening the portal, you find yourself on the branch of a massive tree in a world where there is nothing but the tree. Golden light streams down from high above the branches, where leaves the size of buildings filter the light. The rich golden brown bark of the tree is uneven but quite frictionful underfoot, so it's easy to stand upon. And yeah, you turn around to see that you've come through sort of a twist where some young branches that are merely the size of people have gotten twisted in a knot when they grew. It almost looks like there's a path down the middle of the branch. The branch is as wide as a road. Below you, the sky falls away forever. But there are other branches below. You can't see the bottom of the tree, nor truly its top.
I'm beginning to like these places that you keep on bringing us to. They feel more and more at home. So I sort of like tap the staff on the ground a little bit. Like,
It does feel quite homey and pleasant as you walk along the path. And eventually the path leads you up near the trunk of the tree, though not quite to it, but the road does seem to follow some twisted pieces of bark around the trunk to another branch. But here, at the trunk, there is a small village carved into the side of the tree. And it looks quite quaint, quite homey, villagers are going about their lives. There's an inn and a general store, some houses people live in. It looks like a little trading post, perhaps.
Somewhere to rest. I think I need a bit of. I know myself need a bit of a rest, especially in such a great place like this.
Well, I'll just wait around for you mortals to sleep.
Ed, the priestess does notice there is another portal here, but it's closed. But you can see the outline of where a portal carved into the side of the tree would be. No indication as to what the key is.
I've never been outside of the palace. Can you guys still see me?
He actually looks a lot more solid now that he's outside the palace.
Okay, then.
The transparency effect has gone, and he looks like a person, so to speak. There's still something a little bit glassy about his eyes, but overall looks like a person.
Where to, everyone?
I guess for now, the area. Maybe talk to people here.
The inn is warm and inviting, and they offer you a table to sit at and ask if there's anything you'd like to drink before ordering. Food here is fairly priced, but I'm not sure if any of you actually have any currency on you.
Luckily, I'm pretty sure I still don't need to eat anything since I'm dead.
You've only been off the mountain for a little bit. You haven't had time to work up an appetite yet. But you are starting to feel a little bit more mortal than you were on the mountain.
Huh. Yes,
I could use some water. I haven't drank any in as long as I can remember.
They bring you water.
So I also request water.
The first taste of the water, it's like you've never had water before, and then suddenly your body remembers what it is to be thirsty. You end up devouring the whole thing before anyone else gets to try any. But eventually they bring some more water over, and everyone gets to try it. It is a sweet, like slightly honey-flavored water. Perhaps it's come from a sap collection that's had some of the water sort of purified out of it, mostly.
Sorry, everyone. I was thirstier than I thought.
May I ask, what is this giant tree anyway?
Are you asking your waitress or the priestess?
I'll ask the waitress.
This here's your Drazzle, honey. Tree of Worlds. Its branches go everywhere. You're on the right road.
Wherever you're going, that's where this goes.
I see. Is the tree itself okay with the villages cutting into it?
Oh, sure and rightly. We didn't cut, you see. Whole thing was grown as it's supposed to be. It takes a squirrel to do it, but if you ask them nice, them Ratask, they'll talk to the tree for you. Grow out anything you need. Prices are always fair, that you can rely upon. Speaking of which, you look like hungry sorts. How would you like to be paying for your main course?
Yeah, I don't have any money. I was just dead like a few minutes ago.
I do not have any as a person that does not believe in as much value as the earth itself. After arrest, I can offer my services as someone that's a master the of uh, of the of trees and everything else of the forest.
We're in Yizgard, right?
Technically, you're in Yggdrasil.
Yggdrasil, okay.
Yeah. You're like Yizgard adjacent.
So I look insulted and stand up, and stop eating my food and stand up, and I say, how insulting to ask such heroes for payment. I say, these heroes have gone through immense pain and troubles. It's like they fought demons on a prime world, and their entire it's like their entire clan was annihilated by demons. These are the sole survivors. It's like
Except me, I actually died.
except him, he actually died, and me, who has nothing to do with any of this. I am merely the chronicler of their tales. I was like, they would be happy to pay in stories to the other patrons of your bar.
Oh, you do speak well for a Scal. My thanks. I meant no disrespect. Please. And they offer you a position on a stage, and some of the other villagers gather round to hear the stories.
I say, I am mostly of the writing ilk. I say, however, I can play the harp if you have one, and one of our heroes will of course tell their story. And I look over at Troy and I say, pay for our meals.
In regards to the musical instruments, they say, oh, that's okay, honey. A scowl's a scowl. If you be using the words, you be using the words. That's all we need. All right, so each of you has a chance to tell a story. If it's a compelling story, then your meal is paid for.
I'm gonna have to defer to y'all because I've just been gardening since I died the last time.
I look at you and I say, that's okay. They'll accept anything. Just make it heroic.
Heroic gardening.
If you don't want to make up a story, you can roll dice, and if you roll high enough, I'll make up a good story for you.
Okay. I guess I'll go first then. I'll sit down and start talking. Let's see, or where did it begin? God damn it, I had a story. With me. Second. How we got here. He will begin a story of about one day he was on his way to do his usual duties of maintaining the forest when he was called on to help the council with their problems of stuff. They're back on his home world, and where they had to prevent a disaster from happening, where another one of their clansmen, another druid, had gone insane, and we had to heroically go over there, and we had to prevent him from causing a giant landslide that would have surely had everyone perish in its way. He will begin to describe every single person in it, what they did to help stop this creature, this guy. I had attempted to prevent the energy from going out of him, but alas, I corked it too hard, which had caused us to lose one of our druid members, which had launched us all onto a strange spider web, also known as this garden, where someone of immense power had revealed to us that they had saved us. Um, we then went off from there to a great land of trees and a wilderness and nature, much like, almost like this, except for many trees and not as big as this tree, where we had encountered a strange metal, many powerful beings of 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 great hunting prowess, where they had taken us to a spot where a strange metal cube was there that had that had aided us, where we were sent to the place where all things died, where we were tested, and it seems like we were able to get through there with ease, which now leads us to basically where we are right now along this tree, on this great tree.
As you're talking, a guy in the back starts trying to heckle you. It seemed like you got like the audience really interested when you're talking about the dude exploding, but after that, it sort of got slow from their perspective. And so he's like, "Boo! Tell us about the guy exploding again." Um, when you get to the trials, people are a little more into it, but yeah, by the end, they all do really just want to hear about the guy exploding.
And you forgot to mention me, the spirit that you met on the way.
Well, that is not my story.
All right, who's up next?
All right, so I get up on the stage and I say, okay, so there I was in the Beastland, minding my own business, wandering through the trees. And then suddenly, these two primes come crashing in, prime heroes, escaping uh, escaping the destruction of their prime world, the ashy cinders of burned Prime Mountain still on their face. So what do? Of course, I help them. So we're wandering through the Beastlands, talking to some of the animals there, and we come upon a tribe of cannibal apes. The cannibal apes attempt to capture us. They're leaping through the trees, throwing spears at us, other kinds of things, rocks, poo, the things that the cannibal apes do. And so I'm a priestess of fate. I figure my time is up, and I just sit there waiting for things to happen, talking to my goddess and saying, what's the situation? It's like these crazy bastards become friends with the apes. They befriend them, become part of the cannibal tribe. So they do all the little cannibal rituals, uh, uh, eat the flesh of another animal in the beastlands, which is basically cannibalism, and get the lead monkey to take us through the trees. We run through the trees and end up at a mysterious throne, and there's nothing there. It's completely quiet, except for the biggest Modron you've ever seen, a giant mechanical monster. It's like wielding strange maths on the throne. We try and reason with the monster, do what we can, but then this guy, and I point over at Troy, it's like leaps up onto his back, pulls his power source out, and we escape into the mazes to Mechanus. It's like, and that's my story.
They were on their edge of their seat as you were describing the spears flying through the air. And when you describe him pulling the power core out of the back, there's just a burst of applause. They loved it. It was a great story.
That's my story. 100% the truth.
So that's how you got to me.
Two meals paid for.
Well,
Go ahead.
okay. Well, I was gonna say there was this wonderful time, a few weeks ago. Well, it wasn't so wonderful. I mean, but it became that way in the end. I met my first bees. I thought these bees were gonna sting me. I was planting some flowers in the garden, and then but I realized that these were just spirit bees. They were just pollinating the spirit flowers, and they don't like to sting people. So that was all. That's all my story.
There's lots of booze. Throw them out! One of them says, wait, how big were these bees?
Oh, they were just ordinary, non-threatening bees.
They throw you out at the end. Freeloader!
I guess no food for me.
Nope. Next
Ethan.
time, pay for your food.
I say he's new to this. You should. It's like he's new to this. He's new to telling stories. He's not a hero yet. But let me tell you one thing. That right there is a petitioner from Mechanist that left his domain. He's braver than all you.
That does put some shame into them. They're like,
His planet has been destroyed, and he's on a mission to find his body and have himself resurrected so he can go beat the demon's skulls in. I think that deserves a bowl of soup.
Alright, they let him back in and they give him a bowl of soup.
Thank you, friend. I should have gone with that one.
After seeing him get thrown out, I think about the story I was about to tell. And I get up and begin to. And I say, in the midst of this, in the midst of the story, a companion was telling earlier, there's one piece he didn't know. What can only be described as an ancestor to this small creature over here, and I gesture over to the mouse on the priestess's hand or shoulder, wherever he's hanging out at the moment. Alerted me of great turmoil of a caravan traveling across the road, besieged. I took heed and adapted. My legs changed. I can't remember what I do. Down on all fours, that's what it was. My legs and arms changing to hooves, I race off toward this destination that my friend had told me of. To see a man in the trees throwing strange bottles and things happening unheard of. A man was glowing. A man, people disappeared before their eyes. I can't remember all. It doesn't really matter. People stuck to the very ground they stood upon. And I.
I'm pretty sure that was not this character, though.
Well, he came after. So he was there for the aftermath of it.
Oh, that's right.
So
That's right.
I know
remember
that this happened. I'm just changing the story. That's what I said. I took a minute. I saw the aftermath, so I knew this stuff had happened. I found this man, and with again, I adapted. My hands changed back to normal, but then morphing into large bear claws. I shook the tree and scared this man out of the tree, and allowed for the companions to capture him and question him. And then, without a word from them, I raced off to rejoin my friends.
All right. I mean, they were a little impressed about the craziness of it, and they like the idea of a small mouse giving a message because that's like totally on par with their idea of what delivers messages. But there wasn't a lot of death. It was kind of boring. There could have been more gore in the story. Is the main comment they give you as they bring you soup. All right, so all of you are fed. All of you have a lovely meal. If any of you have tax that you need to clear off of your character sheet, you can clear 4 tax off for the meal. And then there is a bit of commotion outside. The mouse is obviously a messenger mouse, so that messengers get a lot of respect here. This is why there's such a commotion outside, as a messenger has arrived. Glancing out the window, you see that the portal in the town square has opened, and a squirrel person has stepped out of it. The squirrel person is heading straight to the inn to get some refreshments. And yeah, the innkeeper is just immediately prepping a cider and putting it on the table for the squirrel to grab as soon as he steps in. Without a word, the squirrel hands him a rolled up scroll tied to an apple. The man takes a bite out of the apple as he unrolls the scroll and begins to read. And the squirrel takes a seat at the bar, drinking his cider.
I say, a Ratask. If we want to get to Sigil, the Ratask know the ways of the tree better than anyone else.
Then why don't we go talk to them? Talk to the man.
The squirrel is more squirrel than man, but it is about 3.5 feet tall.
Oh, I just meant man squirrel.
Yeah.
Male squirrel.
I'm describing the sort of what you see, so you have a good idea of what it looks like. It's about 3.5 feet tall, perched up on a bar stool. Very squirrel-like in form, but wearing clothes, has a backpack and a belt pouch on. Just generally looks like a well-traveled fellow. Just downing that cider, too.
So he looks like he knows where he's going.
Finishing the cider, he wipes his snout with the fur on his paw and turns and says, you fellows look new. What brings you to these parts? Wait. Sniffs the air. You smell like the place I just came from.
Oh, is that me you're referring to?
No. You smell like Mechanus. No, these two. Points at the 2 druids that you're traveling with. Think I just came from your world, maybe.
And what were you doing?
Delivering messages and visiting a friend. He did some business there, but met an untimely end in a demon attack. Place is a mess. Demons are overrunning it. I don't think they know how to get back through the portal yet. But I've got some messages to deliver. Got a cousin in Sigil I need to go visit. Important that I get these papers to him.
Seeing as we're from there, care to share what messages you have? Would you mind?
Well, I mean, I guess I don't see much harm in it. Takes out the pages. It's one of them is a sort of map of stars. It's like a map of the sky. His cousin thought there was something really important about this. And so yeah. Okay. Picked it up, and I'm bringing it back to the family for them to have a good look. Never know when a message will be important.
So that's from the material from the what I think they call the prime world.
Yeah. Your prime world. Prime material plane. We're always using shortcuts, shorter words, to say the big things we really mean. It's the place between the astral and the ethereal. All the little beads in the phlogiston. One of those is yours. Smells the same anyway.
I assume your cousin is also a squirrel.
A Ratask, yes. People there called me Squirrel too.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to be derogatory.
I'm a messenger. I've heard way worse. You know the phrase, don't kill the messenger? A lot of people try.
And I'm guessing this is important somehow. This map.
The star map?
My cousin thinks so. Says he pulled it from a city built over top of a dead god. Sounds kind of awesome.
I'd definitely not go there.
Well, my family's in Sigil, so that's where I'm headed next.
We were actually looking for a way there before. Would you mind showing us the?
Traveling companions are always fun. Truth is, it's
Well,
not too far. Just a little trip down the branch.
we wouldn't mind following you if you'd have us.
And may I ask, the patrons here said that you know how to talk to the tree. May I find a way of learning how to do that at some point?
Well, you're not a Ratask, but I suppose anyone can talk to it. The question is whether or not it'll listen. Alright, well, my drink's done. Thank you, barkeep. The barkeep mutters something that was probably a thank you, but he's got an apple stuffed in his mouth. I would like everyone to make a perception plus notice check.
I think that's something I'm marginally good at. Apparently not so much right now. A little bit tired, but
You mean investigation?
I'll allow investigation, yeah.
Oh, or the actual thing notice.
Yeah, if you think your investigation will give you more dice, that's reasonable.
Okay, I didn't realize that was an actual skill. I thought it was like.
Well, it's mostly supposed to be something you tax, but in this particular instance, it makes sense. Tice, you haven't learned to talk to the tree directly yet, but the tree seems uneasy. Almost gloomy, and it's happened very suddenly. The rest of you guys see absolutely nothing wrong as you step outside.
Wait, I need to roll a 1, actually. Sorry. Not a 4. I was just copying the last guy.
You probably couldn't roll anything less than a 2.
Oh, what's an investigation roll? I only have 1 investigation.
Having 1 in investigation and 1 in perception would mean you would roll 2 dice.
Oh, okay.
Same with if you'd use notice, because you're almost guaranteed to have 1 notice.
You'll want to use a backslash.
Yeah, I just noticed that.
Okay, you notice that it has gotten gloomy outside. Like the light has shifted in a kind of a dark way. It's somewhat foreboding.
Since it's one of my domains, I would like to cast a spell of speak with trees.
Okay. You're trying to speak with Yggdrasil, the world's tree.
Yes. That would be 2 successes.
Okay, so what are you saying to the tree?
Um, I feel the uncomfortableness there. What makes a great tree like yourself feel so? What is word you said you used? The not melancholy. Like down.
Okay,
Like
so
there.
you have an eight die condition coming at you. This is psychological damage from the tree's answer. You were not prepared for how strong this thing is. It is just overwhelming power and overwhelming treeness beyond anything you've ever touched with your mind before. It has an answer, but the answer is just so loud, it's screaming in your ears that you can't hear it. Curling up in a ball and covering your head, you find that roots and branches are growing around you, forming a shell that you're trapped inside of.
Let's see, what can I tax here that can get rid of 8?
You got 2 successes, so at least it's not 10.
So one of it will be notice. So we put it down to 7. I'll spend another 3 on my composure, which will put it down to 4. Because you said it was all psychological, right?
Yes. You made contact with a being that's not meant to be contacted. It's powerful beyond worlds. It is both larger and stronger than entire planes of existence.
Yeah. How much? If I were to burn potential or stamina, since this is like, would it be just
It's
one
at a
to one for
5-to-1
stamina?
ratio.
For stamina,
Yes.
since I have 4 left, he's just gonna short circuit all my magic, and I'm gonna have zeros. And I'm gonna go through all attacks.
That makes sense. I mean, this is so like magically traumatizing that it's basically zeroed out your own ability to reach out and touch the magical realms. You now have a better idea of what some of these guys may have meant by the phrase gods. This is something powerful. And while you may or may not revere it, it is of a strength, and it's of such a strength that even in its own casual whispering of an answer to you, it has overwhelmed and nearly destroyed your mind. For the rest of the party, as you see, like roots and vines grow over and encompass this one druid. The portal behind you in the village square flares open, and some demons step through it. These are Spinagons, if you're familiar with them. And it's a bunch of them. They're like little imps covered in spikes. Let's find a picture.
First picture I saw made me think of Vampire Wood.
Ah, wow. These are some really good pictures. There we go. They're not super tall. They're actually only like 3 feet tall, but there's a bunch of them. They're covered in spikes, and the ones that are coming through are not carrying weapons, like the one in that picture. But yeah, they seem to be here for a fight. You hear the Ratas say, "Oh shit," but the Ratas is actually looking the other direction, down the branch. It seems to be looking at some kind of human or human-looking thing with bright red feathered wings. Welcome back.
I guess ask the task. What's wrong?
Devils have come to kill me, I think. The man with the bright red feathers says, "Sorry, little one, but you've seen the map. Can't let you live." And it begins approaching it. You guys are basically caught between one dude with a sword and red feathered wings, and a whole bunch of these little spiky demons on the other side. The direction that the Ratas was trying to get through is what's blocked by the guy with the red wings. The other direction that you're being driven from is the portal in the middle of the town square. Other directions of note: if you jump off the side of the branch, you fall forever. And there is also up, if you have a way to go up. I don't think any of you do.
Yes, and I'm currently in branches, right?
You're currently on a branch.
Or oh, he said about the tree covering me.
Oh yeah, you are like surrounded by roots and branches. The tree has encased you. Did anyone want to take any actions?
I'm just wondering what exactly I can do. I guess I'm more solid now.
You are. Yeah.
So
You're basically a person now.
I could go like find a weapon. I don't know exactly what I would find. Just lying around.
While there is a general store, there's currently an army of spiky demons between you and it.
Oh no, that's not good. I don't know. I might try to find the like largest twig that I can carry, like branch, to use as some sort of maul.
There currently are a lot of large twigs that are covering Tice's character. You might be able to pry one off, maybe even free him.
I would do that. That sounds even like a double good thing. I'm gonna try to rip the twigs off of Tice. That's what I should do. I might as well do something.
Excellent. This sounds like a good plan.
Should I like roll for strength?
Yeah, this would be like a vigor plus labor or vigor plus athletics. But it's not a very hard roll. They're just sticks.
So I do the amount of dice that is my vigor and athletics.
Correct. This system of pairing aptitudes with skills means that you always have at least one die you can roll.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had 2 vigor and no athletics. But I rolled nothing.
Yeah, you tug and tug, but the roots just pull themselves tighter around him. Not hurting him, but forming a shell like it's trying to protect him. And as a priestess of Istis, you're pretty sure that your spider crawl can let you just go underneath all of this if you need to.
Like under the branch or whatever we're on, or like the.
Yep. To you, gravity is merely a suggestion.
Yeah. I'm gonna. I mean, we're still near the end, right? I mean, like.
Near it, but the Spinagons are sort of blocking that option right now. You could try and fight past them if you wanted to get into the end. The Ratask has very carefully angled himself so that the map is... he's between the approaching demon and the map, and so the map is kind of sticking out of his pack towards you guys. It's like he doesn't want the demon that he's facing down to see that the map is there. But the demon has quite clearly vocalized that he's just willing to kill him simply for having seen it.
Well, if I'm not under any direct threat, I'm just gonna.
You're under direct threat from Spinagons and and the... I keep spacing on the name of this thing, but it's the Beatazu counterpart to the succubus. Irenes. It's an Irenes. Yeah. There's a single Irenes on the path towards the gate to Sigil, and there's an army of Spinagons on the path towards the town.
Hmm. If I was with my lawyer, I would act very differently. But as the priestess, I'm going to glove both my hands and focus on the present, and just make an effort to stay out of harm's way.
Okay. Troy, what are you going to do?
If I could cast a spell, something like knowing or something, and just get some dice to keep me out of harm's way and potentially borrow out to people. I'm attempting to keep my party out of harm's way, but primarily I want to keep myself and the mouse out of harm's way. That's my primary concern.
Okay, yeah, you can cast a spell to get some precognition dice.
All right, so I got 3 to lend out if people need them. It's only you can't use them for attacks or anything, and if the mouse is in any danger, he's going to get all 3 of them. But otherwise, it's generally. He's only been around for a few hours. I mean,
of course, the mouse. Yes.
Mouse is awesome. I'm gonna get in front of the Ratosk, essentially in between it and the thing it was scared of. And morph my hands into bear claws and stand ready. I assume that the magic takes up my action.
Yep, but you are ready. The Irenes is going to charge you. You guys will trade blows next round, which is now.
I guess I went first, so I'm gonna try to break free Tice again. So I guess I'll
Okay.
just roll again. Damn.
Perhaps Tice will be able to help you. If he wants
Okay.
to if he wants to break free, that's up to him.
Yeah, he can roll for himself.
Also, Ed does have bonus dice that he could contribute at any moment to just about anything you do. But yeah, that's not a real dangerous situation.
Yeah, but I will not contribute them for offensive actions. If you're taking damage, you can use them to pull some stuff off.
The Irenes charges at you, Troy, with a green steel spear and attacks. He's got 6 successes coming at you. What would you like to do with your bear claw hands?
I'm attempting to defend the whole effort was to defend the squirrel, so I'm taking a defensive action, and I'm potentially just trying to throw him off with the attack. So quickly move him away, grasp at the spears, and kind of like send it off in a different direction. But if I can wrestle the spear away from him in the process, kind of thing.
Okay.
Sure, I actually have good grip with bear claws now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's not really feasible. What kind of bear, like, do I have? They do. They have decent grip.
They have enough grip
Climb
to
friggin' trees with them.
Yeah. And think about how heavy a bear is, and that's enough grip to pull that weight up a tree. That's some grip.
Okay, so that's what I'm attempting to do. So this action would be, I can argue agility and unarmed.
Yeah.
And then because I'm defending, I've now dubbed this squirrel as something I want to defend because he's a squirrel. So applying trait, this is my den for the threshold.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. You are the defender of the burrow, after all. This is going to be one of those ridiculous piles of dice, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Bear claws make shit really big. It's 4 extra dice.
Okay. Narrate. You won that confrontation handily. You can literally throw him off the side of the branch if you want to.
Yeah. So that's what I'm assuming was gonna happen. So basically he runs at me and I say, "You will not touch my allies, or my little friends." And as he thrusts the spear forward, I grip the with both claws. I grip the spear and begin to pull it away, and he
Yeah.
He doesn't let go as I do this, as I kind of expected him to, but I'm still not producing any force at all whatsoever, and I just continue to pull, and I realize he's not letting go, so I do, and he just goes flying downward.
The villagers see this feat of bravery and courage and general heroicness, and they are inspired, and they rush out of the inn with weapons drawn.
Did you use the spear of sunlight?
No, he used bear claws.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He
I mean,
drew
we
his
do
hand
have a
with bear
gigantic.
claws. Yeah.
We are fighting demons. We have a gigantic spear of holy sunlight from the angels of Mount Celestius. That might be a thing that we could probably come in handy at this particular
Yeah.
juncture. So.
It would. That's why I was trying to free Tice from all that wood.
Yeah, it's a little buried at the moment.
But I'm gonna ask the villagers to help us. But I think it's your turn.
Did I get, what was the answer, or was it just explained everything because of all that's happened? I'm guessing.
What are you talking about?
Oh, the tree was.
So what was its answer to your question?
Yeah.
Its answer was so overwhelming and powerful that it was delivering 10 dice of basically insanity. You resisted 2 of those dice, and so you took 8 dice worth of damage. That was a couple rounds ago. Since then, you've been basically cowering under a pile of sticks.
Oh, okay.
And I was trying to break you out.
Yeah. Your friend's been trying to rescue you by pulling the sticks off of you, but he's not been having a lot of success.
Okay. I'll also attempt to get out of these branches with little strength I have currently, holding the staff.
All right, you can use the staff for pips if you want.
Sure. What is the pips on it?
It's quality 10, but it is fragile. You have to tax it every time you use it for even the most mundane actions.
So, like right now, I'm guessing. Or
If you're going to use it as a pry bar to break sticks, you're putting strain on the structure that's literally made out of sunlight tied together with string. Tied together with wishes and good thoughts. So you don't have to use it for this. You can save it for more important things, like fighting demons.
So use
okay,
it.
I'll use. Yeah, I'll just vigor myself out of there.
Okay. There you go. You just muscle your way out of the sticks and roots and rise up to see the scene around you. The Spinagons have been set upon from behind by the villagers who are trying to make their way to you to help and are just going at the Spinagons. Many of the Spinagons are turning around, starting to fight the villagers. The Ratask, on the other hand, has turned and has said quickly, to no one in particular, someone needs to take this map. Quickly before he comes back. Which one of you will take it?
I'll grab it inside the light staff. If it's like, if it's like some kind of dark thing.
Just hide it on your person. He'll think I still have it.
Yeah, and I'll hide it on myself.
All right. He points down the branch and says, hurry, there isn't much time. And then he begins running back towards the Spinagons as you see the Arenes beginning to rise up from the side of the branch, flapping his wings. They weren't just for show. They actually work. He can fly. He does look at you, Troy, like he wants to fight you, but he sees the Ratask running back towards the Spinagons, and he dives after him. Do you guys want to stay, or do you want to follow the Ratask's advice and run? He has given you directions towards a portal to Sickle.
I'm a book it.
I'm gonna book it with them.
I have a strong urge to stay, but he did tell me to leave. So I will respect his courage and head toward where he's.
Okay.
I've heard the Ratask can see momentarily into the future, and I can do that as well. I'm currently not looking into the future, but I will take his advice, and I will attempt to go through the portal.
All right, so you guys run down the branch where you find a set of sticks that are sort of in the form of an arch, and you step through the portal into, well, Jake hasn't heard this description yet. It's a city, but it's not like any city you've ever seen. In part because of its size, but from the ground, all cities look big. What's different is the sky is more city. Not just tall city, not stacked city, but have you ever played Halo?
Yes.
Imagine if the entire
all three.
Halo was all city.
Oh my.
So large is it that swarms of people riding magic carpets are zipping through the sky trying to get from place to place. The city is the size of entire valleys that would contain multiple cities within them. At a casual glance, you figure it would probably take a week to walk to the opposite side.
No shit.
And you're in the middle of a marketplace. Tall buildings are around you, but at a great distance. There are bridges between them, but again, they're at a great distance. What you're standing in the middle of are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of tents and stalls where merchants are selling wares. Carts and wagons wheel by with squeaks and the howls of beasts that pull them, and the shouts of merchants calling out their wares to each other, to the passerbys. And in the particular area you're in, a family of Ratask are selling fruit.
Okay.
This is undoubtedly the family that was expecting the map from their cousin who just left you guys to fight some demons. Do you want to give them the map or keep it for yourselves?
I guess we'll head forward to talk to them. Like, excuse me.
Yeah, maybe find out for sure that it is the right family.
They try to sell you apples.
Did we catch his name?
No.
Then I guess ask them if their son or nephew or whoever has been, off somewhere trying to get some sort of information.
They tell you that, yeah, they did have a nephew that went out to visit another more distant relative that they had heard had perished in an explosion on a prime material world.
Well, we've encountered your relative after they were trying to recover something to bring back to you. Sadly, they did not come with us.
Well, the family shows some concern, but they're interested to know what you brought as well. Are you giving them the map or not?
I say we give it to him. It was his goal. I'm in support of this little squirrel friend.
I would be fine with giving it to them, but also just like looking at it long enough to maybe recognize some of it or just know about it.
Hand over the map. I asked them if they can make a rough copy of it for us.
Well, they're not map makers. They're not equipped to make a rough copy for you. You guys could try to make a copy yourselves. This would be an artistry plus focus test.
Yeah, mine are terrible, so I'm gonna have to defer to you guys. Focus and artistry.
It's a sky map. It's a map of where stars are in the sky. This, to be useful, needs to be very precise.
I attempt to pick up a pen with my bear claws and just fumble it around a little bit and say, I don't think I can.
Do you not have a lot of focus and artistry?
No, and I also have bear claws at the moment.
Yeah, that's
you,
not gonna
you
help.
might actually have a quill pen in your hair, though. Oh, no, wait. That was a different character.
Does the priest know how to copy things? Or
If you
does he
have
just see it all?
vigor and focus and artistry that are decent. Mine's only one total.
I'll also accept talents in anything to do with like the engineering talents for copying blueprints. If you have the talent in forgery, that could be used.
Do you have anything like that, Echelon?
So it sounds like your choices are to either keep the map that is an accurate, detailed map of where the stars are in the skies of your homeworld, or hand it over to the Ratosk family.
And then fail at making a copy.
I mean, I can't copy maps. I'm not a map copier.
Well, no, I mean, my focus is 1 and my artistry is 0. You guys have higher of those two?
Do we have a few moments here to do some stuff, or is it like?
Yeah, a bit of time. But I mean, the family, the Ratosk family, is right here in front of you right now. You came out of a portal in their stall at the Great Marketplace in Sigil.
Oh, I see.
I'll
Do
be
they
right
seem
back.
like a reasonable family?
As reasonable as they can be, given the news that their nephew is right now fighting demons in Yggdrasil.
Okay, well, I say all right, this is my plan. All right, party can make a decision. I don't have the map, so I can't really make a decision. I say we should tell them that what's going on with their nephew, and we should tell them that it was essential. We're messengers, and it was essential that to him that we escaped and brought you this. Otherwise, we would have stayed to defend.
Yep.
That said, this is incredibly important to us because we're attempting to deal with a problem, potentially the problem that he discovered, and the reason this is so important. And we would like to have a moment with it to make a copy. And then I pull the mouse out of my pocket and I say, we're going to need exact geometry on this. And just sit it down on the map.
All right. Mechanist mouse.
I trust that the mouse can do trigonometry. So.
You meant a Malkinist.
The mouse begins making the map and then stops, picks it up, and says, "I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I need to start over." It does this a few more times and says, "There's something going on with this map. It shifts. It changes. This is magic," the mouse says.
I sigh. I say perhaps only one map can exist.
The mouse says, No. It can be done, but it will need time. I need to chart its change over time, and then I can draw a map that accurately predicts what this other map will have on it.
Okay. I look at the family and I say, do you have any idea why he would want to get this map to you? Why would it would be
Make an empathy plus persuasion test here.
empathy plus persuasion? I'm going to say I'm not great at that.
Okay. The family, I mean, they say we have no idea why. They might be feigning ignorance. You're not sure.
Hey, wait. I can do that. I have 3 empathy and 3 persuasion.
There we go.
If you need me to ask that
Yeah,
question.
make a heartfelt speech about why it's important that they should trust you, and then make your roll. Or make your roll first and make a heartfelt speech about why you only rolled 1 success.
Good point. Yeah, good point. I'm gonna roll first, just in case.
It's always fun to give the speech and then roll terribly.
I think that's not worth it. I'm gonna give
totally
terrible speech. I'm gonna give a terrible speech if I roll.
If you make a good speech, I'll give you some pips to add to your roll.
Yeah, it's typically that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, that's the main reason.
Okay then I'll go first. See, my friends here, they just want. We were trying to, we fought against some demons with your squirrel brethren, and he told us to bring this to you, and we thought that it would be like a disservice to your family if we didn't do it. But we also just thought that maybe we could help him on his journey, or your family on whatever the reason is you need this map. We thought that we could help you with it. And that's why we're here. And
Okay, yeah, that's worth 4 pips.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like it.
It definitely plays on their sort of heroics attitude. It's very Ysgardian.
What does that mean for my role?
Oh, so when you do the roll, you're going to, after the D6, you're going to put a space, and then you're going to put the letter P, and then the number 4. Pips are points that can adjust a die and increase it towards success. So if you roll something that's not quite a success, the pips can tip it over that edge and make it into a success.
Nice. I got 5 success, 2 pips.
Very nice. All right. Yeah, they are convinced, and they trust you, and they say, we were asked by a Hound Archon to do some intelligence gathering on the movements of the stars in this prime material world. He said he just recently acquired some information that indicates that movement of the stars is really important.
A Hound Archon, you say? Was he with a fox?
He says, well, we don't let him bring the fox here. If he comes with the fox, we won't talk with him.
Wise.
I've heard such things, that foxes can't be trusted.
We know their kind all too well.
Would any of you be able to make a copy? Oh, sorry, we already asked you that. Would it be fine if we tried to make a copy of the map?
They say, you know, he made it sound like it was urgent, but you've done a good thing for us, helping our cousin complete his mission here. And it doesn't sound like he's doing well in there, but I wouldn't ask you to go back. Take your time, make your copy, and bring it back to us when you're done.
Well, yes, we also have interacted with the sounds like the same person that tasked you to find the information. So we can. So if you ever see him, you can tell him that we have the map for right now, and that if we find out information, we can send it his way.
We should not put these people in danger by having them tell people that we have maps.
Yeah, I don't know if I trust that Hound Archon.
The Hound Archon is a demon of lawful goodness. It's best not to trust any of them.
Okay, well, I was gonna say lawful goodness might be something you would trust, but maybe not.
Trust them to be lawful good.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're not, then they're gonna do you wrong.
Trust them to turn you in if you break a rule. Trust them to always tell the truth, even when it's not in your best interest. It's best not to give out any more information than is necessary.
I agree. Tell the family that they should remain quiet.
They've agreed. You can make your copy, and just they trust you to bring back the map. You brought it this far. You didn't have to, so we trust that you'll bring it as soon as you're done with your copying. And that's where we're going to end it. It's going to take you guys about a week to make a copy, and then you'll come back to them with. During that week, you guys will probably have gotten some jobs, done some exploring. We'll deal with that next session. But we're next session, we're probably just going to touch on these guys briefly before we go back to the other characters. As it looks like these guys, by the time the map is copied, will be caught up with the timeline of the other characters and the other party.
All right. I'd like to give one to Kite for bearing arms. Basically, some kind of thing that even their task was like, it's like, I think like I'm just gonna probably die here. Here, you should go. I'll run away. And like Kite was like, no, I'm gonna stand in his way. I like to give one to Echelon for him and his like pet mouse adventures that he's been, or his friend mouse adventures. It's like, yeah, he's got to have that like little person that like no one else understands except for him usually. I like to give one to the new one, to Jake for
Trying to save you.
yeah, also like for his character just like boldly going where he hasn't gone before, like the scene from Lord of the Rings where he's like they stop for a sec and he's like, it's like, if I go a step further, will be the farthest I have been from this mountain.
Oh, that's nice. That's a good reference.
That's everyone for me.
Jake, so that you know, what he's given out is an experience point. So everybody gets a chance to give out an experience point to each player. And they explaining the reason why they're giving out the points. So he's given you an experience point, and then we'll continue.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Okay, yeah, so I'll go. To Troy for continuing to play a Bewildered Prime. You're doing pretty good. You're doing great at basically not metaing stuff, even though you know some things from your other character. And you're also doing a really good job at asking questions about the setting in a way that's in character and nice, which I find good. Tice. For your constant quips at your Pshaw gods thing, even given that you're talking to one, that's solid. You'll make a good Athar. And to Jake for jumping in, like you're pretty good. Like you were kind of throwing down like just like I don't really know what's going on, but I'm just gonna make something up that's coherent and seems reasonable and get into the setting stuff, which is like not technically how it's done all the time in a lot of role playing games, but that's really kind of how it's done with this system. So it's a good work.
Yeah, I recognize. Sorry, where I screwed up. And
no, there's no screwed up. Like you just go out and it's just like you just it was like what was the thing where you were you just made up some stuff about the garden because you were supposed to know it, and Dave was just like, what's happening, what do you guys want to do? And you're like, we're gonna go do this, and this is something that I know. And then Dave was like, cool, that exists now, so let's do that. That's solid. That's collaborative storytelling work. That's
he
how it
changed
works.
it to the better golden spark rose.
Yeah, that's good. It's collaborative storytelling, so that's excellent.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty happy about
Brings you back to the gnome door.
yeah.
All right, so I'll go. Ed, on par with yours for teaching me about why the mouse was and the planes and stuff. I get to be the bewildered prime, but it's fun to have like that be a character to character interaction learning moment than like just asking the DM questions. Tice for I get what you were doing, but actually attempting to talk to Yggdrasil was bold and insane and awesome, and the repercussions were really cool. And then Jake for telling an accurate and sadly a boring story to the end, but like just it was perfectly accurate to what your life was. It was great.
Yeah, I would like to give one to Troy because of that bear claw attack. That was awesome. I like that a lot. I really liked Echelon talking to his mouse. That was one of the great things. And again, I gotta say that talking to the world tree of Yggdrasil, that was really awesome for Tice.
Do you want the door
I
open?
would want to have done that.
All right, don't forget to record your experience points on your character sheet. By my count, each of you got 3 experience from that.
Yeah, and I didn't explode.
And we'll pick up next week, or well, we'll see. And I think you've. I don't think you're necessarily going to need to be playing this character next week for the stuff they're going to do. It seems like it's mostly going to be just some bookkeeping, but yeah, we'll see. You're going to be out for 2 weeks, is that right?
Yeah, I'll be out for 2 weeks.
So
I might be back.
We may not roleplay both weeks. I'm not sure what's going to happen exactly, but if everybody else is here next week, we can sort of do the cleanup and ending of this segment and get ready for the next segment with the other party.
Yeah, I can be here next weekend.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna be new characters after then, or
Yeah, well, the other party, they all have characters already. We've been jumping back and forth between these 2 parties. We just got this party caught up to the timeline that the other party is in. So the other party encountered some stuff so like the aftermath of certain situations that you guys just caused. So I needed to, since the cause was happening after the effect, I just needed to get them all caught up. But they're caught up now, so that's good.
that sounds pretty fun.
Oh man, I can imagine when someone actually comes up to those 3 people now, and there's like all have like a potted plant in front of them.
Yep, 1 for each of their elements. The sun, the wind, and the rain. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording here and pick up next time.